Back at the Art Loeb trail. Going to be doing a through hike of it. Today is Saturday. It's about 11:35. My ride just left. Morgan, shout out, baller, drove me 3 hours to get to a trailhead. Again, it's Saturday. Going to be getting picked up at the terminus on Tuesday, allowing 4 days for it. About 31 miles. I don't know if I have it in me yet right now to actually go up and do Cold Mountain. We're going to see when I get to that split in the trail, see how I'm feeling, see how the day's going, see if I want to add an extra mile and a half up and mile and a half down to the trip. The trip as is already is going to be 31 miles, around 7,000 foot elevation gain. Starting at the Daniel Boone Boy Scout camp here, and again going to do the whole trail. It ends right outside of Brevard, and we're going to see how it goes, see how much fun I have. Today the weather's supposed to be pretty doggone nice, although it's going to be the warmer day at around 90 degrees for the high, and the following 3 days have a good bit of rain involved. So, you know, if it ain't raining, we ain't training. See how it goes. Gonna bring you guys along for the trip. Some more exciting content. But I'm pretty excited. I've only ever done one other through hike of a trail. It was a loop trail up in Maine. I was not able to complete that one. I slipped and fell and broke my glasses, which, you know, rookie mistake not having a backup pair. I do have a backup pair now. It is a pair of sunglasses, so hopefully, you know, I don't break my glasses to begin with, but I will have a pair of prescription sunglasses that I'll be able to see during the day at least. And yeah, this should be a fun trip. We really enjoyed this trail last weekend. Me and Morgan did about 3 miles of it and camped overnight. We had a great time. It's really nice up in this area. This is a trail that is classified as hard, which I think, you know, it definitely puts it to you. So I don't think that's a false claim of it being hard. When we were here last weekend, we met somebody coming down who had said that the initial section is the hardest because you have the most elevation gain in a short amount of time. But we'll see. I've heard Pilot Mountain is no joke, which the trail does go through Pilot Mountain, so there's no not doing Pilot Mountain. But we'll see about Cold Mountain. That's kind of an optional excursion, and we're just gonna see if I got it in me to do that. Already getting stuck. I really like this trail. I mean, I like being outdoors, but this was a fun trail last weekend. We'll see what I think after 31 miles. But yeah, come along for the ride. As I've said, this is the Art Loeb trail, and it's listed as hard or difficult by All Trails. All Trails has it at 31 miles. We'll see how accurate that is. I may or may not add the 3 additional miles to summit Cold Mountain. We'll see. I really don't want my phone dinging me the whole time saying I'm off the trail, because it's not part of the Art Loeb trail, so All Trails will remind me every 10 seconds that I'm off the trail. But it is challenging. think All Trails has it at in the 7,200 range of elevation. I'll throw it up on the screen. Most of the elevation gain is in the initial part of the trail. I'll throw up the expected elevation gain on the screen for everybody on All Trails. It's pretty up for a while, and then after a peak you start going down, you know, obviously with climbs mixed in. I hear Pilot Mountain is a challenge. They say more so if you're going south to north, which I'm going north to south. But I'm sure I'll get my butt kicked either way. Sorry for all the heavy breathing. I'm not shooting an outdoor porno. It's just that my cardio is lacking. So I need to work on that. I'll have an in-depth of my loadout. Without water, I was sitting at 37.5 pounds, which later you'll see why it was 37.5 pounds and not an ultralight 18. As far as the channel goes, I have my first video up. Hope everybody enjoyed it. There's a very steep learning curve behind one, filming things, making it look good and enjoyable to watch, and another steep learning curve, even more steep than this hill, of editing that video and putting together something that's digestible. I vastly underestimated that, and how much of a, I guess for lack of a better word, a learning curve there is behind it. Whew, don't kill yourself. As far as the channel goes, I kind of want to not think of it as vlogging, because it sounds lame as shit. I want to use it more as like documenting what I'm doing and where I'm doing it, which I guess is the definition of a vlog. But I want it to be in the vein of like Les Stroud, Survivor Man. Not that I am Survivor Man, or that I'll ever know as much as he can forget in a weekend, but I like the thought of how his show and his continued content is. You know, just a guy and a camera. You know, I'll probably never be the guy in the camera for 5 days with nothing. You know, nobody's as hardcore as Les is. But I liked watching his show because he was talking to you. No matter who you are, he's talking to you. Excuse me. He made sure that he didn't see a camera and that he saw somebody. He was in his head while he was doing whatever it is he's doing. No copperheads. He already had in mind that somebody was watching, and he cut out the middleman of the camera and spoke directly to you, the individual. And that's kind of what I want to do. I don't want to have to straddle this log. Whew. Ooh, a little sweat stain. Left my mark. But if you guys have any recommendations, you know, obviously other than get fit so we don't have to listen to you huff and puff, But if you have any recommendations on, you know, ways to record, ways to edit, you know, do you guys want to hear me talk, or do you want silent, you know, just watching what I'm doing? I know I sound goofy. I always have. I never had braces, so my mouth is, you know, not the straightest set of grills. If you want to hear less of me and more of nature, if you just want my random thoughts, let me know. The one thing I noticed from editing was that the camera 1000% does not do the trail justice. You cannot see how steep this is accurately on camera. So far, I've done about a half mile past what me and Morgan did last weekend. And I would say it's no easier than what me and Morgan did. Nothing, you know, too ridiculous or anything, but this has been an awesome trail. Let's keep going. What's up, guys? Stopping to get some water just before Cold Mountain on the trail. It's really beautiful up this way, and you know, I just can't get over how it can be 85, but the air is just, you know, significantly cooler than 85 at, you know, my house. It's slap dead center in the Piedmont, about 30-40 minutes from Charlotte. 3-hour ride up here. And you go from right at 645, I think maybe 650 feet elevation at my house, and the Art Loeb trail head is at like right at 3,500. Don't really know what I'm at right now. I don't want to bore you guys with me playing on my phone. All Trails was being pretty silly earlier. It paused my activity. So now it looks like there's a big like 2-mile gap in between when I started and when I realized there was an issue. Currently at 4,400 feet of elevation, and I went 2.79 miles. So in 2 3/4 of a mile, I've gotten 1,000 feet of elevation about. But let me get some water here. I started out with 2 liters in my hydration pack. In this, I put 1 packet of Pedialyte. Big proponent of Pedialyte. I have drip drop hydration packets as well. After Cold Mountain, you start the Narrows, and I think it's like 2.5-3 miles of no water sources. So I'm gonna pick up a whole nother 2 liters right now, and another liter in my bottle there. I brought the Sawyer squeeze. It's the full size. I like it because it's got pretty good flow. I brought the Grail last weekend, and man, that thing's just heavy. So you know, I started thinking 31 miles, you know, heavy Grail, or 31 miles lighter, but in my opinion, a little less convenient Sawyer. It is what it is. It's what I brought, so it's what I got, and we'll get some water. You know, I'll give you a close-up later. The reason why I like the brand Source, their Camel Pack specifically, is it's a quick disconnect at the mouthpiece, and it's a quick disconnect at the bladder itself. And if you're smart, you'll also get this guy right here, which plugs in at the quick disconnect here, and you can actually put, it's like a grommeted, you know, like rubber thing. You can put a bottle on it and fill the bladder without removing the bladder to pour water into it. You know, whoever invented that, obviously a flipping genius. That's the $1 million idea that I missed out on. I have had Giardia in my life. I don't wish to do that. This water is about as crystal clear as, but we all know it's the things you can't see that'll get you. I'm going to attempt to not do that this time. Giardia is no fun. 1 out of 10, do not recommend. Filling up a water bladder, there is no easier method. And you couldn't do this with a Grail. That's kind of why I like the Sawyer. You know, not more than the Grail, just in addition to the Grail, another tool in the toolbox kind of thing. You know, squeeze, let a little air in, squeeze. Actually, what I'll do is I'll take this with my dirty hands, like I had just mentioned, take that off, because it fits into this little rubber grommet a little better without the spout, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, just directly putting in a liter at a time to the bladder here. I'm no gear review guy. Definitely don't take my you know, my opinions on gear, you know, take them with a grain of salt. It's what I like, not what everybody should have. But definitely check out Source. I have a 3-liter bladder. I've stopped carrying 3 liters in it because it turns out 3 liters of water is heavy. Jot that down. So I don't fill it up with 3 liters, but I do like that I have the option. You know, if I know camp is going to be far away from the water source, I can fill up and use it as literally a camel's back and camel some water to camp. I do like the smart water bottle and Sawyer option. You know, it's still easy. It's not as fast as the Grail, definitely, but the Grail I don't have any way of pressuring into the bladder. It is kind of annoying to have to like squeeze for a while, let the water in, you know, close it back, or let the air in, sorry, close it back up. I'll tell you what, you get anywhere near these little tributary streams here, and the mosquitoes are thick. 2 C's, T-I-C-C, thick. Yeah, I really like running water like that. You know, obviously nothing that's churning and, you know, churning up the dirt, but that water is crystal clear, so it makes not having to backflow the old Sawyer pretty handy there. I guess I could have brought a Grail and had a smart water bottle and just used the smart water bottle as a clean container and squeeze clean water into the bladder with the smart water bottle. I could have done that. What I need is the ultralight press, or ultralight press, the ultra press, the titanium one that Grail put out. I say I need it. I don't need it. I want it, but I don't need it. There it is. Looking for the lid to my bottle. Oh man, that cold water. One of the things about having a bladder, using that as a, you know, as your primary water, you know, means of conveyance, is if it's on your back is heating up your water the whole time. So I love right after I get to a water source, especially one flowing like this with some elevation, that water is just ice cold. So yeah, it's just as good as refrigerated water. Always keep a bandana on my pack. I'm not wiping my hands, I'm wiping the sweat off my forehead, all of that. It was kind of difficult for me, but way more difficult for other people. You know, my dad was a Marine, and growing up, you know, touching your face and touching your mouth and all that kind of stuff, that was really big to him, and I never really understood it. But, you know, as a combat veteran of Vietnam, you know, he knew the implications of putting your nasty, grimy fingers all over your face. So I think that's why it was a little easier for me in boot camp when I was in Parris Island. But you know, a lot of people, you know, struggle with not touching their face. On our deployment, a bunch of guys ended up getting dysentery and spent about 94 days out in the field. You know, you start getting grimy, and some of those disciplines, like you just saw me, even though I just washed my hands with hand sanitizer, you know, I just instantly touched my mouth, my mustache and my mouth. Some of those disciplines are often overlooked, you know, and that's a humongous thing at Parris Island that they instill in you, is to not touch your face. Let's get back on the road here. I'm feeling good. Nice little water source, actually flowing. It is what is it? It's August 25th. Had some rain move through the house, you know, 3 hours away the other night. I don't know what they got up here. It doesn't look, you know, super wet, especially for it being next to the creek. Always want to make sure when you stop, you know, make sure you got everything when you're starting back up. This would definitely be a place you don't want to be, you know, during storms. You know, you can see all this debris, blowdowns. You know, that's flash flood stuff. You definitely don't want to get caught up in any of that by accident. You want to make sure you're always prepared when you go out into the woods. And that extends well past gear. You want to, you know what you're getting yourself into. You know, if you're doing a trail, you know, in the age of the internet, look up some reviews, you know, see what people say. You want to make sure you are able to carry enough water, you know, in between water sources. And, you know, you want to know conditions as of recent. Make sure those water sources are flowing. And make sure you know what the weather is like. I know I'm going to run into some weather tomorrow. It didn't look like anything that I can't handle, but in the evening there may be some storms. But always make sure you know what you're getting yourself into when you're going out into the woods. Don't recreate beyond your capabilities. I really wish all the rescue guys and firefighters could spend their career getting fat and lazy because they're not needed. I mean, we know obviously that's not how things go, but whatever you can do to help keep rescue guys bored is good. Cue the heavy breathing. Whew. I started coming up this, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kicking my butt. About a quarter of a mile from that water source that I just filled up the water and took a 10-minute break there, chit-chatting with you guys. And it gets pretty steep pretty quick. Coming up on what's going to be the Cold Mountain, I guess, separation or split from the Art Loeb Trail. I don't think I'm gonna do it, guys. Everybody says do it. It's 1.5 miles up and 1.5 miles back to the Art Loeb Trail. It would add 3 miles to my already 31-mile trip. I'm probably not averaging a full 2 miles an hour. So, you know, hour and a half or two at 3 o'clock. 3 hours to do another 3-ish miles to where I want to camp for the night is very doable. I don't think I need to add 3 miles to it. I don't need that extra elevation either. I think I'm just gonna Art Loeb trail it up and maybe come back one day and see what Cold Mountain looks like. Bring old Morgan around next time. Do it again a little earlier. It'd be cool to do that in the winter. Maybe that's what we'll do. Well, guys, I've definitely decided I'm not going up Cold Mountain. The stretch from the last water source up to the area, there's a campsite here, probably the mile before, you know, the junction to Cold Mountain. Very, very, very difficult. Very difficult. Yeah, I was honestly shocked because like the first like 3 miles, while not easy, you know, it wasn't like super strenuous and hard. That last mile stretch, 3/4 mile to a mile, very difficult. It is beautiful up top of here. And when I say perfect temperature, like the sun is warm on you, you know, because it is summer, but that wind you're hearing on the microphone, that is the coolest, nicest air I've ever felt. It's just so nice. But yeah, I'm definitely not adding 3 miles to this hike, especially since it looks like the 1.5 miles up to Cold Mountain. I would imagine that's a good bit of elevation there. So I'm definitely good not climbing to the top of Cold Mountain because the trail before it kicked my butt. And it looks like I've got another 2+ miles and I'll be able to camp. It's currently 4:15 to the dot. I actually chilled up here. I set a timer. I laid down over here at this like a little more secluded campsite, and I set out a little mat and I laid right down there by that little like ledge, and I straight dozed off. Don't do this, people. Take your stuff with you. But I needed it. That the climb, you know, on paper it doesn't look too hard, but I'll tell you what, I was not pulling the camera out, that's for sure. Y'all would not have liked seeing or hearing me. But let's get back on the road. It's 4:15. Got another 2+ miles, but hopefully can get to a camp area around 6 or so. Start making camp before it gets too dark, and relax, because I'll tell you what, this is definitely a trail. This is definitely a trail. 200 feet down from that Cold Mountain campsite area, and it gets wild. I know there's nettle in here. I'm not sure what these yellow flowered plants are. There's a bunch of them. I'm gonna have to look that up. But I mean, we're shoulder deep in here, guys. It is wild. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look this up. Let's see what they are. There's been some rumbles of thunder. So it is currently 4:30. Kind of been messing around. I hit a spot of cell service there, so I was sending out a message to the old lady, making sure she knows I'm alive, and that for about a mile I hated my life, but now I'm back at it. I was regretting all my life decisions there for a little while. Now we're rocking on. I looked on the phone. Looked like there are 2 storm cells that in their general direction were not going to cross my path, but they are close enough that it gave me a lightning alert on the phone, and it has probably dropped 8 or 9 degrees, and that cool air is even cooler. But I don't think, I mean, unless more cells pop up, I don't think I'm going to get hit before 6, it doesn't look like. So you know, definitely try to get to that campsite. I'd much rather it rain while I'm in a tent than while I'm hiking. I mean, I'm prepared for it, but I had my druthers. And yeah, so we're doing good now. Back in the groove. I don't hate my decision skills. I'm real nervous in this like waist to shoulder high stuff that there's gonna be paper wasps. They love stuff like that. Some of these more broad leaves, you know, kind of protect and shelter from this wind up here. And I just know I'm gonna get stung by something, but it'll be all right. I'll live. And if not, you know, whatever. No one will know, I guess. I'll be in the middle of the woods. It does not get more beautiful than that. Well, guys, this is it. Home sweet home. There's a water source just up the trail, not even 500 yards. I'll be filling water up there. But this looks like as good of any place to pitch a tent for the night. Gonna find the most flat and least rooted spot to set up on. I don't know. Not too flat, not too level. very rooty. What do we have here? Still not perfect, but I don't think the perfect campsite actually exists. If it wasn't for that, it would be great.